So I'm looking at a website called Refactoring. Refactoring isn't necessarily an industry standard or anything like that, but it is a way to rewrite code so that it's functionally identical but structured differently. There's really no reason to argue against the fact that, hey, if I can write this in two different ways, it can only benefit me. Because if I want to restructure my code for some other purpose, I have more than one way to do it. So when I introduce this to students, this would be an example of one of the refactoring tools that I'd work with students in this unit. So when I'm looking at this, the one I'm looking at is called replace conditional with polymorphism. Conditional means to me, I'm asking a question, so it's going to be doing some sort of comparison. If I look at this top section, switch is going to take the type of bird we're talking about. So in this situation, I see bird.type. It's talking about some umbrella term bird, and each bird has a type saved. So what it does is it checks, is it a European swallow? Then it returns a value. Is it an African swallow? Then it'll return a different value. Is it a Norwegian blue parrot? Then it will return a different value. And then we'll return unknown if I don't match any of these. So that's conditional. Now I hear the term polymorphism, and at this point I should know polymorphism means it's a single method that can do different things in different classes in my program. So I have different types of birds. If I scroll down to the other section, these same types of birds I saw above are in their own class. Now each class has a method with the same name, plumage. All right. Each plumage does its own thing based on the class it's in. So up here I had an individual bird class, and each bird had a type, and I'd compare to that type to return a value. Down here, each of those types of birds is its own class, and the fact that it's in that class means plumage should mean the same thing for all birds in that class. So in this situation down here, this is organized into different classes, and the top one is only organized by birds, and then we're going to write this function based on the type of bird. So if I'm choosing to switch to an object-oriented and I want to have these different birds in their own classes for other reasons, maybe they have different properties I want to start keeping track of, and this is just going to turn into a better organizational structure, I can use this strategy. Instead of using the guess and check switch case thing, the information is just going to be right there in the class. Otherwise, if I have a smaller scale thing and I'm letting people, choose their own birds, and I want to have some specific responses for some specific birds, in that situation, maybe I want the switch because maybe I get different types that I didn't have planned for, and my classes might not be able to handle all of them. So based on if I'm accepting user input or based on how I'm structuring my program, I might want to use one of these over the other, but this is just a tool. So we want to understand here, these are doing the same thing. They're just organized differently. And that's essentially what the refactoring page is. So if I were going through these conversations and wanted to show students, some of these refactoring skills that they might be asked to use or might want to use on their own to make their programs look a little bit cleaner, this would be a place I would take them, and we'd talk through it, and hopefully it would give students a deeper understanding of this word polymorphism is really abstract in computer science, and what's the point of it? So this is an opportunity to start discussing that because, we're going to write the same method for a bunch of different things. Well, there's other examples, like if I want to have different types of dogs, like a poodle or a big old German shepherd, and have a different bark method for each one. Polymorphism fits exactly that situation. Just like here, it fits a situation for different types of birds. So it's an opportunity to read more into what some of these vocabulary terms mean, and an opportunity for us to review things like switches and cases. And, this unit in particular is talking about hierarchies. So I imagine all of these different bird classes are part of an overarching bird class. And that's another example we could do. We could bring one of these to life by actually coding it ourselves and have a little fun with it. So this is a resource for students that I'd share with them. And then on top of sharing it with them, some of the specific catalog stuff for refactoring. There's a whole bunch of them. You could find some specifics and really break it down with students for a day. and then put it to use just to practice a little bit.